The vast darkness of space held many secrets, but none quite as remarkable as what happened on that cold December morning. Deep in the outer reaches of Earth's solar system, beyond the orbit of Pluto, 300 massive ships hung motionless against the backdrop of distant stars. Their sleek, silver hulls reflected the faint sunlight, making them look like a cluster of artificial stars. The celestial fleet, pride of one of the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy, had encountered something they never expected: complete system failure. Their quantum drives, capable of bending space itself, had mysteriously shut down, leaving the entire fleet stranded in what they considered to be primitive space. Admiral First Light, commander of the fleet, stood at the main viewport of his command ship. His tall, slender frame cast a long shadow across the polished floor as he watched his fleet drift helplessly. The ship's emergency lights cast everything in a soft blue glow, a constant reminder of their dire situation. "Status report," he called out to his crew, his voice steady despite the gravity of their situation. "All systems except life support and basic communications are offline," Admiral reported his chief engineer. "The quantum drive cores aren't just damaged. They're completely dead. It's as if something drained all their energy." The Admiral turned away from the viewport, his expression grim. "Send out the distress signal. Maximum power, all frequencies." "Sir," his communications officer hesitated, "we're in the territory of a pre-FTL civilization. The only inhabited planet nearby is Earth." "We have no choice," the Admiral replied. "Send it." The distress signal burst forth from the fleet, carrying their plea for help across the solar system. The Celestials, despite their advanced technology, could only wait and hope that someone would hear them. Meanwhile, on Earth at the Deep Space Listening Array in New Mexico, night shift operator Mike Thompson was about to discover something that would change human history forever. He had just settled into his chair with a fresh cup of coffee when the monitors lit up like a Christmas tree. "What in the world?" he muttered, adjusting his headphones. The signal was unlike anything he'd ever seen before. Too strong, too structured to be natural, yet clearly not from Earth or any known human spacecraft. He quickly called his supervisor, Bill Roberts, who arrived within minutes, looking skeptical until he saw the readings himself. "Call everyone," Bill ordered, his eyes fixed on the screens. "Wake them all up. This is it. This is first contact." Within hours, the world's major space agencies were buzzing with activity. The signal was being received by arrays across the globe, and its message was clear: someone out there needed help. When Earth sent its response, the Celestials were shocked. Not only had the humans detected their signal, but they had also managed to decode it and respond in a way that showed remarkable understanding of complex spatial mathematics. "Impossible," muttered the Admiral's science officer. "Their technology is centuries behind ours. They shouldn't even be able to detect our transmissions, let alone understand them." Admiral First Light watched the human response play across his screens with growing interest. "Perhaps," he said thoughtfully, "we have underestimated them." Back on Earth, as governments scrambled to organize a response, the news spread like wildfire. Aliens were real. They were in our solar system. And most surprisingly, they needed humanity's help. In orbit above Earth, the International Space Station captured the first images of the distant fleet using their most powerful telescopes. The photos, showing tiny silver dots clustered in the blackness of space, were broadcast across every news channel on the planet. Humanity stood united in a way it never had before, faced with both the greatest challenge and opportunity in its history. The race to save the celestial fleet had begun, and Earth's best minds were already working on solutions that would soon shock the advanced alien civilization. The universe, it seemed, had a sense of irony. The most advanced species in the galaxy now had to put their fate in the hands of what they had dismissed as primitives. The story of humanity's greatest adventure was about to unfold, and nothing would ever be the same again. The meeting room at NASA headquarters was packed with the world's best minds. Maps, charts, and live feeds from space telescopes covered every wall. At the head of the table sat Tom Walker, Earth's most experienced space salvage expert. His weathered face showed the marks of 20 years spent rescuing troubled spacecraft and saving astronauts from disaster. "So let me get this straight," Tom said, running a hand through his gray hair. "We have 300 alien ships stuck beyond Pluto, and they want our help." "That's correct," replied Kate Miller, the lead engineer who had spent the last 15 years solving impossible problems in space. She pointed to the largest screen showing the stranded fleet. "Their quantum drives are dead, and their fancy computers can't figure out why." Professor James Reed, a physics expert known for thinking differently, stood up and walked to the screen. "The interesting part is that they've never seen anything like this before. All their advanced technology, and they're stumped by something we might be able to fix." The room fell silent as everyone considered the challenge ahead. Earth had never sent people that far into space before. The farthest human-made object, Voyager 1, had taken decades to reach that distance. "We'll need to modify the new Mars ships," Kate said, spreading out blueprints on the table. "Add more fuel tanks, better radiation shielding, and stronger engines. It won't be pretty, but it'll get us there." Tom nodded. "How long to prepare?" 3 months, if we work around the clock," Kate answered. "Every space agency on Earth has offered their resources. Even private space companies are helping." While the humans prepared their rescue mission, the Celestials watched with growing curiosity. Their advanced sensors could detect the sudden burst of activity around Earth. Ships being built, rockets launching supplies into orbit, and a constant stream of radio messages flying between ground stations. "They're actually coming to help us," Admiral Firstlight said to his crew, watching the human preparations with amazement. "These beings who haven't even reached their own system's outer planets are building ships to reach us." His science officer looked troubled. "Admiral, should we really trust our fate to primitives?" The Admiral turned to face his crew. "Look at how quickly they organized their response. While we sit here, helpless with our advanced technology, they're finding ways to reach us using what we would consider outdated equipment. Perhaps there's more to these humans than we thought." Back on Earth, the preparation continued day and night. In orbit, space stations became construction sites for the rescue ships. Workers in spacesuits welded new sections onto existing vessels, while others installed experimental engines that would push the limits of human technology. Tom spent his days training his crew. They practiced every possible scenario in simulators, preparing for whatever they might find. Kate and James worked together, studying the alien signals to better understand their technology. Their biggest problem, James explained during one training session, is that they rely too much on computers. When something unexpected happens, they don't know how to think outside their programming. Kate agreed. "Humans are different. We're used to things going wrong. We expect problems and learn to solve them with whatever we have." 3 months passed quickly. The rescue fleet, consisting of 5 modified ships, was ready. They weren't beautiful. Their hulls were covered with extra fuel tanks, makeshift shields, and backup systems, but they were sturdy and practical, just like the humans who built them. On launch day, crowds gathered around the world to watch. The 5 ships, named Hope, Pioneer, Venture, Discovery, and Guardian, lifted off one by one from different spaceports around Earth. As they united in orbit, Tom sent a message to ground control. Rescue fleet assembled and ready. Beginning acceleration toward the celestial fleet. Let's show our new friends what humans can do. As the rescue fleet began its journey, Admiral Firstlight watched their approach on his screens. These strange human ships, built in just 3 months, were coming to save his people. For the first time since their quantum drives failed, he felt something new. Hope. The greatest test of human ingenuity was about to begin, and the watching galaxy would soon learn why you should never underestimate a species that had spent its entire history overcoming the impossible. Space was never meant for comfort, and the crew of the human rescue fleet learned this lesson every day of their journey. 2 months had passed since they left Earth's orbit, and the 5 ships pushed deeper into the outer solar system than any human had gone before. Inside the lead ship Hope, Captain Tom Walker floated through the cramped corridor to the main control room. The walls were covered with handwritten notes, backup instruments, and emergency procedures. It wasn't pretty, but it worked. "Status report," he called out as he strapped himself into his chair. Kate Miller looked up from her engineering station, dark circles under her eyes showing her tiredness. "The engines are holding steady, but we're pushing them harder than they were designed for. We've had to fix 3 coolant leaks in the past week. Fixed them with duct tape and spare parts," another engineer added with a proud grin. "Old school, but effective." Professor James Reed, who was studying the latest data from their long-range scanners, spoke up. "The Celestials are sending us more information about their ships. It's fascinating. They've evolved to become completely dependent on their technology. Most of them don't even know how their own engines work anymore." Tom frowned. "How is that possible?" "They let their computers do everything," James explained. "Their ships repair themselves, their food is automatically produced, and their navigation is fully automated. They haven't had to solve a real problem manually in hundreds of years." The radio crackled with a message from the ship Venture. "Captain, we're picking up some strange readings ahead. Looks like some kind of radiation field." The fleet had entered the same region where the Celestial ships had failed. Strange colors danced across their viewports as they passed through waves of unknown energy. "All ships, switch to backup systems," Tom ordered. "Just like we practiced. If something goes wrong with the computers, we do everything by hand." The human fleet's simple backup systems, switches, gauges, and manual controls that the Celestials would have considered ancient, continued working even as their more advanced equipment began to act strangely. Meanwhile, aboard the Celestial command ship, Admiral Firstlight and his crew watched the humans approach with growing interest. Their sensors showed how the human ships changed and adapted as they encountered problems. "Remarkable," the Admiral said, watching a video feed of humans making repairs in space. "They're using tools that look like they belong in a museum, but they're getting closer every day." His science officer had given up hiding his amazement. "They fixed their ships while flying through space. We would never even consider such a thing. Our ships were supposed to be perfect, never needing repairs." The humans' journey continued, marked by constant challenges. When solar radiation damaged their communications array, they built a new one from spare parts. When a micrometeoroid punctured one of Pioneer's fuel tanks, they patched it and redistributed fuel among the fleet's ships. The crews spent their free time learning about the Celestials through their messages. They discovered that the aliens had achieved so much technological advancement that they had forgotten the joy of figuring things out for themselves. "They're like children with very expensive toys," Kate said during a fleet-wide meeting. "They know how to use their technology, but not how it really works." The Celestials, in turn, were fascinated by human behavior. They watched as the rescue fleet faced and overcame each new problem, using solutions that ranged from complex physics to simple mechanical fixes. "These humans," Admiral Firstlight told his crew, "they don't give up. When something breaks, they fix it. When one solution fails, they try another. It's inspiring." As the human fleet entered the final stretch of their journey, they could finally see the massive Celestial ships with their own eyes. The alien vessels were beautiful, their silver hulls stretching for miles, but they hung in space like elegant sculptures, lifeless and still. Tom gathered his crew for a final briefing. "We're about to meet our first aliens, people. They may have ships that make ours look like rowboats, but remember, they called us for help. Let's show them what humanity can do with a wrench and a good idea." The rescue fleet fired their braking thrusters, beginning their final approach to the stranded Celestial army. The moment that would define humanity's place in the galaxy was about to begin, and it would start not with grand ceremonies or diplomatic speeches, but with the simple, practical work that humans had always done best: fixing what was broken. The first meeting between humans and Celestials took place in the main hangar of the alien command ship. The human rescue team floated through the massive doorway in their bulky spacesuits, looking small against the backdrop of gleaming alien technology. Admiral First Light, standing nearly 8 feet tall with silvery skin that seemed to glow, waited with his senior staff. Despite their advanced translation devices, the first words between the species were simple. "Welcome," the Admiral said. "Thank you for coming." Tom Walker, removing his helmet, smiled. "Thanks for having us. Now let's see what's wrong with these ships of yours." The Celestials led the human team to their engine room. It was nothing like the cramped, practical engine rooms of Earth ships. This one was the size of a football field, filled with quietly humming machines and glowing crystals. Kate Miller immediately pulled out her old-fashioned tablet and started taking notes. "These quantum drives," she said, pointing to the massive crystal structures in the center. "They're completely dark. They should be glowing, right?" The alien engineers nodded, their tall forms hovering nervously around the humans. One of them spoke up. "Our computers can't explain it. The energy is just gone." Professor James Reed walked slowly around the drive, holding up a simple radiation detector. The device was practically ancient by celestial standards, but it worked. "Look at these readings," he called out. "The background radiation here is unlike anything we've seen before." The Celestials crowded around to look at his simple device. "How can that primitive sensor detect anything?" one of them asked. "Our quantum scanners show nothing unusual." "Sometimes the old ways work best," James replied with a smile. "Your quantum scanners might be too advanced. They're probably filtering out what they think is background noise." Over the next few hours, the human team spread out through the engine room. They used their simple tools, radiation detectors, magnetic field sensors, and basic thermal cameras, to gather data. The Celestials watched in amazement as these primitive devices revealed things their advanced systems had missed. Kate called everyone together after studying the readings. "I think I know what happened," she said, using her tablet to project a simple diagram into the air. "This region of space has a unique type of radiation. Your quantum drives work by manipulating space-time, but this radiation is interfering with that process. Can it be fixed?" Admiral First Light asked. Tom stepped forward. "Yes, but you're not going to like how." He explained their plan. The humans would need to build simple mechanical shields around the quantum drives, basically thick walls of specially treated metal. Then they would need to restart the drives manually, without using the Celestials' automated systems. The alien engineers looked horrified. "Manual restart? That's impossible. These drives are too complex for manual operation." "Nothing's too complex if you break it down into simple steps," Kate said. She turned to Tom. "We'll need to use materials from our ships, the old radiation shielding we used for deep space missions. And we'll need to teach the Celestials how to restart their own drives," James added. "They need to understand their technology, not just use it." Admiral First Light listened carefully to the human plan. It went against everything his people believed about technology, but he could see the wisdom in it. Sometimes the simplest solutions were the best ones. "Very well," he said. "What do you need from us?" Tom smiled. "First, we need your engineers to learn something they haven't done in a long time: how to use their hands." Over the next few days, humans and Celestials worked side by side. The aliens learned to weld metal, route power cables, and understand their own technology in ways they never had before. Their elegant hands, used to controlling everything through computers, became dirty with grease and marked with small cuts, badges of honor in practical work. The engine room became a strange mix of ultra-advanced alien technology and basic human engineering. Sleek quantum computers sat next to handheld welding tools. Celestial engineers, who had never touched their engines before, now worked alongside humans to build something new, a bridge between two very different approaches to solving problems. As they worked, both species began to realize something important. The universe had brought them together for a reason. The Celestials needed to remember the value of practical skills, and the humans needed to show that sometimes the simplest solutions were the most powerful. The real challenge wasn't just fixing the quantum drives. It was bringing together the best of both worlds to create something better than either species could achieve alone. After a week of non-stop work, the main engine room of the Celestial command ship looked completely different. Thick metal shields, built from parts of the human ships, now surrounded the quantum drive crystals. Tools floated in organized clusters, and both humans and Celestials moved about with purpose. Kate Miller wiped sweat from her forehead as she finished welding the last shield panel. "It's not pretty," she said, looking at the rough metalwork surrounding the elegant alien technology, "but it should do the job." Next to her, a Celestial engineer named First Dawn held a simple magnetic scanner. He had learned to use human tools over the past week, and his long fingers now showed calluses from manual work. "The radiation readings are already dropping," he said with excitement. "Your simple metals are actually working." Professor James Reed floated near the main control panel, teaching a group of Celestial technicians how to restart their quantum drives manually. "Think of it like starting an old car," he explained. "You need to feel the engine, listen to it, understand what it's telling you." The aliens looked confused. "What's a car?" one asked. James laughed. "Never mind. Just remember, technology isn't just about computers. It's about understanding how things work at their most basic level." Captain Tom Walker's voice came over the radio. "All teams report in. Are we ready for the test?" One by one, the work teams, mixed groups of humans and Celestials, reported their readiness. They had installed the shields on the command ship's quantum drive and prepared for a manual restart. If it worked, they would use the same method on the rest of the fleet. Admiral First Light floated near Tom, watching the preparations. "Your people have achieved more in 1 week than our computers did in 3 months, he admitted. "We had forgotten what it means to truly understand our technology." Tom nodded. "Sometimes you need to get your hands dirty to solve a problem. Ready to try starting this thing?" The Admiral gave the signal. The engine room fell quiet as Kate and First Dawn began the restart sequence. They worked together, human and alien hands moving across controls that had been modified to work without computers. The quantum drive crystal began to hum. At first, it was barely noticeable, but then the sound grew stronger. A faint glow appeared at its center, growing brighter by the second. "Power levels rising," First Dawn called out. "The crystal is accepting the energy feed." Kate watched her readings carefully. Radiation shields are holding. The interference is being blocked. The crystal's glow became brilliant, filling the engine room with soft blue light. Cheers erupted from both humans and Celestials as power readings reached normal levels for the first time in months. "It's working," James shouted. The quantum drive is back online. Admiral First Light turned to Tom with amazement in his eyes. "You did it. Your primitive solution actually worked." "We did it together," Tom corrected him. "Your knowledge and our practical skills, that's what made the difference." The success spread quickly through both fleets. Teams of humans and Celestials began working on the other ships, installing shields and teaching manual restart procedures. The aliens learned quickly, eager to understand their technology in this new way. In the days that followed, ship after ship came back online. The great Celestial fleet began to glow again, quantum drives humming with power. But something else had changed too. The aliens no longer saw their technology as something magical and untouchable. They had learned to work with their hands, to understand their machines, to solve problems in new ways. Kate found First Dawn in the engine room late one night, studying the modified controls. "What are you thinking?" she asked. The alien engineer looked up. "I'm thinking about all the things we forgot while making our technology more advanced. Simple solutions, manual skills, the joy of fixing things ourselves. Perhaps we advanced too far in the wrong direction." James floated past, carrying a toolkit. "There's no such thing as too advanced," he said. "But there is such a thing as forgetting your roots. The best technology combines both advanced systems and simple backups, computers and manual controls, automation and understanding." As the last ship's quantum drive came online, both humans and Celestials knew that this experience had changed them forever. The humans had proved that simple solutions still had their place in an advanced universe, and the Celestials had remembered something important they had lost along the way. The future would belong to those who could bridge the gap between the simple and the advanced, the practical and the theoretical, the old and the new. And together, they had taken the first step toward that future. The star-filled space around Pluto's orbit buzzed with activity. 300 celestial ships, their quantum drives now glowing with restored power, prepared for their first test flight. The 5 smaller human vessels floated nearby, their crews watching with pride and anticipation. On the Celestial Command Ship's bridge, Captain Tom Walker stood next to Admiral First Light. The bridge now looked different from when the humans had first arrived. Simple backup controls and manual instruments had been installed alongside the advanced alien technology. "All ships report ready," First Dawn announced from his new position at the engineering station. The celestial engineer had insisted on having manual controls installed on the bridge, something unthinkable just weeks ago. Admiral First Light looked at Tom. "Would you like to give the order? Your people made this possible, after all." Tom smiled and pressed the button on the new communications panel. "All ships, begin quantum drive sequence. Remember your training. Feel the engines, listen to them, and trust your instincts." Throughout the fleet, celestial crews worked at their modified control stations. They no longer relied solely on computers, but used their own judgment and their newly learned skills. The quantum drives hummed to life, their blue glow intensifying. Kate Miller's voice came over the radio from the engineering deck. "Power levels are stable. The radiation shields are working perfectly." Professor James Reed, monitoring the readings from his station, added, "No interference detected. The simple solutions are holding strong." The massive celestial ships began to move, slowly at first, then with growing confidence. The radiation that had once disabled them was now held at bay by simple metal shields and human ingenuity. The fleet picked up speed, preparing for their first quantum jump. Admiral First Light raised his hand. "All ships, prepare for quantum jump in 10 seconds." The countdown began. Humans and Celestials held their breath. This was the moment of truth. With their combination of advanced technology and simple solutions work for faster-than-light travel. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Jump. In a flash of brilliant blue light, the celestial fleet disappeared. They reappeared moments later, half a light year away. Cheers erupted across every ship as the successful jump was confirmed. It worked. First Dawn shouted, his silver skin glowing with excitement. "The quantum drives are functioning at full capacity." Back on the command ship, the Admiral turned to address the human team. "You have done more than just save our fleet," he said, his voice filled with emotion. "You have taught us a valuable lesson. In our drive for advancement, we had forgotten the importance of understanding our own technology." Tom shook his head modestly. "And you've taught us that there's so much more to learn about the universe. We both gained something here." The next few hours were busy as the celestial fleet prepared for their journey home. The humans had installed their shields and backup systems on every ship and had trained the alien crews in manual operations and basic maintenance. In the main hangar, as the human teams prepared to return to their own ships, Admiral First Light made an unexpected announcement. "The Celestial High Council has been watching our progress," he said. "They are impressed, very impressed. They have asked me to extend an invitation to Earth to join the Galactic Alliance." The humans looked at each other in surprise. Kate spoke first. "But we're not even an FTL civilization yet." The Admiral smiled. "Perhaps not by traditional measures, but you have shown wisdom and skills that many advanced civilizations have lost. The galaxy needs that balance of simple and advanced knowledge. We need humanity. As the human crews boarded their ships for the journey home, they carried with them not just the pride of a successful mission, but the knowledge that they had changed the galaxy's view of humanity forever. From the Bridge of Hope, Tom watched the celestial fleet prepare for departure. The massive ships, now bearing the marks of human engineering alongside their advanced technology, stood as a testament to what different species could achieve together. "Safe journey," Tom radioed to the Admiral. "And to you, my friends," First Light replied. "We will meet again soon. Earth's journey to the stars is just beginning." In a final display of unity, the celestial fleet arranged itself in an honor formation around the 5 human ships. Then, with a flash of blue light, they vanished into quantum space, leaving behind a legacy of cooperation and mutual respect that would change both civilizations forever. The human fleet turned toward Earth, carrying a story that would inspire generations to come. How humanity's practical wisdom had saved an advanced civilization and earned them a place among the stars. 1 year had passed since the rescue of the celestial fleet. Earth had changed in ways no one could have imagined. The night sky above New York City glowed not just with stars, but with the lights of alien ships visiting the planet. On the rebuilt observation deck of the International Space Station, Captain Tom Walker stood with Admiral First Light, watching Earth rotate below them. "Hard to believe it's only been a year," Tom said, sipping coffee from a floating mug. "Sometimes it feels like yesterday we were fixing those quantum drives." The Admiral nodded, his silver skin reflecting Earth's blue glow. "Your simple solutions have spread throughout the galaxy. Many civilizations now include manual backups and basic engineering in their ship designs. They call it the human approach." Down in Houston, Kate Miller was teaching a class of mixed human and alien students. The new Galactic Engineering Academy had opened its doors 6 months ago, bringing together species from across the galaxy to learn both advanced technology and practical skills. Today, she told her class, showing them a simple wrench alongside a quantum scanner, "We'll learn how these tools work together." Sometimes the oldest tools are still the best ones. In orbit around Mars, the first human quantum shipyard was taking shape. Professor James Reed floated through the construction site, where humans and aliens worked side by side. The ships being built combined the best of both worlds, advanced celestial technology with practical human engineering. "Make sure those manual controls are installed properly," he called out to a team of workers. "Remember, we don't just build ships here. We build ships that can be fixed." The story of the stranded fleet had spread throughout the galaxy, becoming almost legendary. Humanity had become known as the problem solvers, the species that reminded the galaxy about the importance of practical wisdom. Other advanced civilizations began sending their engineers to Earth to learn the lost arts of manual repair and basic engineering. In the Galactic Alliance headquarters, a new wing had been dedicated to human innovation. First Dawn, now an ambassador, guided visitors through displays showing simple tools that had saved advanced ships. "This is the shield design that saved our fleet," he explained to a group of visiting aliens. "Simple metal, shaped by human hands, protecting quantum drives. It reminds us that advancement doesn't always mean abandoning the basics." Back on Earth, changes were everywhere. Cities now had spaceports where human and alien ships landed side by side. Schools taught both advanced alien science and practical human engineering. The combination created a new generation of problem solvers who could work at any level of technology. In his office at the United Earth Space Agency, Tom reviewed reports from human ships now exploring distant stars. Each ship carried the lessons learned from the Celestial Fleet rescue. Advanced technology backed up by simple, reliable systems. "Captain," his assistant called, "the Galactic Council is ready for your presentation." Tom smiled, gathering his materials. He would be speaking about a new program where human engineers would serve on ships throughout the galaxy, teaching their practical approach to problem solving. The last few ships from Earth's original rescue fleet had been preserved as museums. The Hope, still bearing its makeshift modifications and rough welds, had become a symbol of human ingenuity. School children from Earth and other worlds toured it, learning how simple solutions had saved an advanced civilization. Admiral Firstlight, preparing to leave Earth after his diplomatic visit, shared a final thought with Tom. "You know, we thought we were teaching you about the galaxy, but you taught us something more valuable. You showed us that true advancement isn't about abandoning the old ways. It's about combining the best of all approaches." As they watched another group of alien ships arrive in Earth orbit, Tom reflected on how far humanity had come. They hadn't just joined the galactic community. They had changed it. Their practical wisdom, their ability to solve problems with whatever tools were available, had become one of the most valued skills in the universe. The sun set over Earth, casting golden light across the space station's windows. In shipyards and academies across the galaxy, humans continue to share their knowledge, bridging the gap between the simple and the advanced, the practical and the theoretical. They had found their place among the stars not by abandoning their old ways, but by showing the galaxy why those ways still mattered. The legacy of the stranded fleet would continue for generations to come, reminding everyone that sometimes the simplest solutions could solve the biggest problems, and that true wisdom meant keeping hold of practical knowledge even as technology advanced.